welcome back to the And One podcast.
Sure.
We've come up with a title now. Again, I'm Taylor Walshlager.
I'm Austin Wyman.
And we're here at NAU University.
Northern Arizona, baby.
If you don't know where that is, that's in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Got people out there that don't know where that is. So that's north. We get snow up here, which is pretty fantastic. It's supposed to snow on Friday, which is pretty freaking ridiculous.
We'll see how that goes.
I'm not going to be ready for that. Okay, so.
Big, heavy wind.
Big news. Big news. That's what we talk about here. And it's draft season. People are anxious for the NFL. NFL's been out for a couple months now, and we're starting to get the juices flowing. We're really excited about this draft. This draft is actually pretty sneaky loaded.
Yeah, it really is.
There's some key players in there that, there's more. It's hard to say for a draftee. He's a for sure Hall of Famer. But I feel like there's some safe picks out there for Hall of Famers. And then there actually you might be surprised by who these players might turn out to be.
Right.
So,
well, I also think this is one of the of course, every year, maybe the NFL more than any other draft, besides maybe the NBA draft this year with Zion. The media attention around these players is huge. And I think one of the reasons that a lot of these teams make mistakes, besides last year, the Browns are notorious for drafting bad picks.
Yeah.
Like, great draft for the Browns last year with Baker and Denzel Ward. Yeah. Two great players for the franchise.
And you know what? Myles Garrett ended up turning out pretty good after his first year. He got injured for his first year.
It's hard to say with that. But notoriously, a lot of these teams, they have bad picks. But I think one of the reasons is that media attention around some of these players with specific things they do is huge. And we'll get to that. There's one player in mind I think we're both thinking of when we think media attention.
Exactly.
That has led to an increase in draft stock that we've looked at. We're like, really, honestly, he'll be a good player, but not like he won't be the player that everyone thinks he's going to be.
Exactly. So, the Combine, honestly, in my opinion, the Combine is a really tricky thing to evaluate. It evaluates athletes, but really, when you're trying to evaluate football players, you're supposed to be evaluating football games and how they do in an actual game with the pads on. Both you and I played football in high school.
Yes, sir.
And it's a crazy, crazy sport. You have to be very mentally strong, and physically strong, obviously. And some players might surprise you, and then they might not be hyper athletic and might not do great at the Combine, but they're still really, really smart, really good in the film room. And when they put the pads on, they go to work, and that's what it's all about. So, in this special, we're talking about the draft, obviously. Me and him, we're going head-to-head for some mock drafts. I mean, Pro Football Focus does it. We're not going to have that much hype around it, but
it's going to be fun. So.
It's going to be fun. We got some money on it. Not going to say how much, but we got some money on this, so we're going to dive right into it, right?
All right. So this is going to be mock draft without trades because, honestly, trades are hard to predict for the draft.
Yeah.
There are a few teams that, like, right now, if you look at it, like, obviously, the Raiders are a big trade-up spot because of the amount of first-round picks they have. It's really easy for them to trade up. Like, let's say they could trade up to number 1. It's possible.
Yeah.
I could see the Pats trading up. They definitely have some back-end draft stock, and they're picking at 32. So if they want to trade up, their biggest thing is going to be tight end. We'll get into that later.
Yeah. I've also heard, Denver's trying to trade up from number 10. Get some players with the Raiders as well. So, you never know with these guys.
So we'll start number 1 with the Cardinals. And you and I are both in agreement on this one. I think your consensus number 1 pick, I'm not saying he's the best player in the draft. Yeah. Because I don't think he is. But I think he fits their scheme. I think he fits Cliff Kingsbury really well. It's Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. Yeah. From the University of Oklahoma.
Quarterback.
He's special.
He really is.
I think that it won't solve Arizona's issues because there's a lot of foundational pieces you have to make before making a good push for the Super Bowl and playoffs. And that starts with the offensive line. Their offensive line is probably one of the worst in the league. And drafting a quarterback with a bad offensive line. Just look at Josh Rosen. I mean, Josh Rosen did pretty decent in college, and he's highly touted. Was drafted number 10, I believe, last year, or 15.
They traded up to get him, I think. Actually.
They traded up to get him. He's a talented, and he's very smart. But he just didn't look good enough last year, and with a new coach, and an aggressive GM and Steve Keim. You never know with these guys. So I'm going with Kyler Murray, and so are you. So he's going to be very talented.
I think the one knock you can put on Kyler Murray, don't get me wrong, he's young. He's shown that he's smart. Obviously, he's a fantastic athlete. I mean, you can't go so high in a baseball draft without being a fantastic athlete.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, what surprised me the most was that when you look at his combine workouts, is his arm strength.
Yeah, his arm strength.
With most time with quarterbacks who are really mobile, arm strength is usually a problem. But this is a guy who's composed enough to throw in the pocket. He can scramble out. He can make throws on the run. And when he cocks his arm back, he can get some bombs out there.
Yeah, he's really strong.
The one knock on him, honestly, I think is his size.
Yeah.
And I think if with Kingsbury's system, if they can work around that and if he can get more time in the pocket and more time to make his own play, this is a guy who I'm not going to say he's Mike Vick level because Mike Vick is Mike Vick, but this is a guy who is similar to that mold. And I know he said that in the past, but I think this is a guy who could really reach that. Yeah. And with Rosen, honestly, I think they're part of them is they're holding out for a second round pick or for a first round pick. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think they're going to get it.
No.
But a team like Washington, where they pick at 15, I think a lot of the quarterbacks that they want are going to go before that. And Rosen, I think in their system, in a system that's devoted to pocket passers and running the ball, it's a good fit for him. Yeah. So I think if they're willing to ship off Rosen for a second round pick and get that and bring in Kyler Murray, and I know it's smokescreen season.
Yeah.
Everyone's putting down, they might not take Kyler Murray. I think right now it would be hard for them to get into that position and not take Kyler Murray.
Right, yeah. So. And with all the hype, I think you met with them today or yesterday. So.
Yeah, they had a meeting with him.
Yeah.
And you also look at, one of the bigger things for a lot of these teams that are in rebuilding mode is ticket sales. This is a guy who is electric in everything he does.
Yeah, take a look at Zion. I mean, Zion isn't really, polished like RJ Barrett or John Morant, but just the hype, he's gonna push those ticket sales. So whoever's gonna be at number one, they're gonna take Zion. That's how we feel. It may not fit their team completely, but it's just about ticket sales. Exactly.
And this is a different system, or this is a different situation almost because I think Murray is polished.
He is, yeah.
And I think he's a little young, which is actually good because I think if he's able to get in there, give a few years into the system, and really mold into it, he's polished and he's so electric that Arizona fans they're not going to want to miss games with him.
Yeah, and you really want to see what your young coach can do, so you want to give him the best opportunity possible, and drafting a really star QB that could be a franchise quarterback, and that's who he wants. And I think you got to give the young guy what he wants. You got to give Cliff what he wants and see what he can do. Terrell Suggs is coming home, and Terrell Suggs is older than Cliff Kingsbury, so we're gonna see how that goes. And I was honestly shocked by Cliff Kingsbury hiring, but we're gonna see what he can do.
I think it's a good pick. I think it'll be good for them.
All right, we're gonna move on to number 2. We just want to talk a lot about Kyler Murray because
he's a special player.
He's special.
This is an easy one for both of us, I think. 2 49ers in the Bay. It's got to be Bosa.
Nick Bosa. He's pretty highly graded by Pro Football Focus.
By a lot of people, honestly.
By a lot of people. And he's just a machine. The only question is his injury status, what they're doing. It looks like he's ship-shape, ready to go. He's had a lot of rest over it. He didn't play. He stopped playing college football in the middle of the season. And
he's still this high, which I think says a lot about him.
I think, he's
performed decent enough at the combine.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the thing that Bosa, not only do you get a talented edge rusher, and I don't think he's much of a leader as his brother is, but I think he's definitely as talented as an edge rusher, but he's one of those guys where you can plug him into most places on the defensive line and he's going to wreak some havoc.
Yeah, he's special. He can move anywhere, and he's just a good guy. The team will flow to him because he's very special, and San Francisco is really close. They got pieces out there, so they just need to confine, and honestly, they need a new pass rusher. Who left them to Washington? Linebacker, Reuben Foster.
Yeah,
Reuben Foster had a domestic violence issue. So, all right. Yeah. Next, the Jets. Right.
So this is our first one where we disagree.
Okay.
You have the Jets taking Josh Allen, and I have them taking Quinnen Williams.
Okay. So the reason I told him Josh Allen is just Josh Allen he's special, and when you're building a defense, they got star defenders. They got C.J. Mosley, a good solid linebacker out there, and they got Jamal Adams. He's going to be an All-Pro next year. I just think that what they have, they got. Sure, they need some corners, and interior line could use some work. They got Leonard Williams, but for me, when you're building a team, you need a Von Miller, a Khalil Mack to really lead lead the team to get some pressure on the quarterback. Someone where they have to point them out on the line. I just think that defensively, Quinnen Williams could be that, but I just think Josh Allen would be so much more scarier. And they're both very talented players. I just think Josh Allen would be a very good edge rusher, and that the Jets really need.
So I picked Quinnen Williams here, and my thought process is honestly the Jets over the past few years have really they've done really well building up their interior line, and I think now Leonard Williams, underrated player in my opinion. I think he's definitely a top 5 interior lineman, which is hard to say, especially when you have guys like Aaron Donald wreaking havoc. Exactly. But I think he's definitely up there.
Yeah.
And I think when you're looking at it, I think by far Quinnen Williams is the best player in this draft.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I think you look at size, like, this is a huge guy who can play, who's so athletic that he can play nose tackle, defensive tackle, end. And he can cause havoc at anything. Yep. He routinely took up doubles in college and got past them.
Yeah. And he's well coached, too.
He is. I mean, Saban, he knows what to do with these guys. I mean, look at the history of the defensive linemen. Like De'Aaron Payne the last few years. He's a nose tackle who's doing havoc. I mean, and I think Quinnen Williams, when the Jets look at it, they want to pair up this combination of Leonard Williams and Quinnen Williams. And I think their thought process is, well, if they want to use the double on Leonard because he's an older, more experienced player, then Quinnen Williams off the line is going to beat most guys in the NFL. Yeah. And I think that's a scary side, and that's going to definitely help. They struggled last year in the rush defense, and I think he's a good enough run stopper to definitely up that. So
and they got C.J. Mosley in there to clean up there, so that would be a very good fit. All right, let's go to number 4.
So we have the Raiders.
And
our picture basically flipped here, so you have them taking Quinnen, I have them taking Josh Allen. Yeah. My reasoning is really simple for this. No Khalil Mack. They need that prototype guy. He's a freak athlete, first off. He's like 6'4", like 250 or something. Like that's the way he runs and everything, and I think he's a
Khalil Mack body.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's a little less polished in his game, probably due, honestly, to I wouldn't say just coaching, but 2-star prospect at a school, went to Kentucky. I mean, he's SEC. Like the good news is, and I think people really forget about with these edge rushers is SEC talent is especially helpful because of the competition they face. Routinely going up against guys in the SEC who play like guard and tackle, they're extremely good. Most of them go to the NFL.
And big,
And so he routinely goes up against them. You look at his sack count last year. It was I think it was like, what? Like
it was crazy.
It was like 17 or something.
He's a SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He was Defensive Player of the Year for the entire college. So,
and I think Gruden's going to look at it as it's definitely for Gruden. It's pretty easy unless he decides to trade up. Is Quinnen there? Is Josh Allen there?
Exactly.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
And I think from a Raiders perspective, if I was a Raiders fan, I think I'd want Josh Allen a little more, just because definitely feeling the loss of Khalil Mack. They need some pressure. They need sacks. And the problem with the Raiders taking Quinnen Williams in this regard, for me personally, is that he's disruptive, but it's the argument of disruptive versus sacks. And I think Josh Allen gives you more sacks. But I think, and the other thing is he's so athletic he can play coverage.
Yeah,
it's not like he's fast enough. He can definitely be your typical 3-4 outside backer who plays on the right side or the left side even and just covers the slot. I mean, it's
Well, my only thought process with taking Quinnen Williams is that Josh Allen's gone, and if the Raiders had the opportunity to get Josh Allen, they would definitely take him.
Yeah.
But I just think that. I mean, if it ends up being the draft where someone else is drafted number 2 or number 3 and things are switched up, you never know with these GMs. I think if they had the opportunity, they would take Josh Allen. But, it's just the best available player left, and have Quinnen Williams so highly rated and fall into your lap like that, you just have to take him. And I just think that the needs just fall right into place. And John Gruden will like Quinnen Williams, coached by Nick Saban. I would really want him if I was the Raiders. So move on. Number 5,
Tampa. So this is by far, when I was looking at it, I think this is the hardest pick in the draft.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tampa is a team.
They're screwed.
they have so many holes.
Exactly.
Like Devin White is a pick here they could take. Exactly. I don't have them taking Devin White, but obviously if they're looking at it, he's. I think their one worry with Devin White is physicality. I think he tested off the charts everywhere except physicality.
Yeah.
We both have him taking Montez Sweat here. He's
a freak.
He's an enigma to me.
Yeah.
You look at his film, and there are games where he doesn't show up at all, and there are games when he shows up all the time.
Yeah.
And obviously, combine monster. He ran the fastest 4-yard dash in his position, and he ran it by a good few seconds.
Yeah.
Hit the bench press hard, hit the 3-cone hard. Yeah. Obviously agile, but it comes down to technique.
Yeah.
But I think when you work with guys like him, technique is the easy part.
Yeah.
He has all the gifts. If he can just learn a semblance of how to use them, he's going to be a monster in the NFL.
He seems like a good dude, and honestly, I think this is this year's Myles Garrett. I think he's just him and DK they took over the combine, and I just think defensively he's Myles Garrett. He's huge.
Big.
He's not interior, but he's on the outside, and honestly, I didn't see a whole lot of him in college, but there's some highlights out there that blow me away. Mm-hmm. So I just think that with Tampa, you gotta find some highlight guys to fill some holes, and I just think that he can be coached up really well, and he looks like he puts his heart and soul in the game and on his sleeve. And honestly, I think he can help Tampa out on the line. I think he'll be there for a very long time.
Yeah, and something about Sweat too, honestly, that once again, edge rusher, Mississippi State, SEC team.
Yep, SEC.
They're used to competition, and like that's, you hear the conference debate with college a lot, but honestly, when you look at the amount of talent that's put out by them every year, it's the SEC.
Yeah,
they have the most competition. I mean, look, Kentucky has the second highest rated prospect in this year's draft.
Yeah,
Kentucky.
Crazy.
I mean, but that's Tampa. We both are pretty much in agreement on that one. It's a weird pick.
That's my most unsure pick.
Yeah,
right there.
I feel you with that one. Yeah. I think it's they could go 6 or 7 different ways where it would be like, this makes sense.
Yeah, they just have a lot of needs.
There's not a lot of ways they could mess it up, but it is Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, it is Tampa. They can mess it up, but you got to fill one of the needs and hope it works out. If it's honestly best player available, and from the combine, that's where most of these GMs go. So that's where I'm predicting them to go get them.
So this is this is an interesting pick. So we have the Giants here.
Okay.
Both of us have the same player here. We have Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins from Ohio State.
Dwayne Haskins. This is weird for the Giants, right? Now, early on in the whole draft process, Haskins looked like the surefire pick at 6.
Right.
Once Kyler Murray was pretty much chosen to go to the Cardinals, everyone's like, Haskins has to go at 6. Now, I don't know why all of a sudden there's rumors that they're taking Rashawn Gary at 6. I like Rashawn Gary.
There's rumors taking Rashawn Gary at like 3.
But you look, and their plan, I guess, is that they're going to take Gary at 6 and Daniel Jones from Duke at 17. Listen, Daniel Jones, I get it. Similar body type to Eli Manning.
He's prototypical.
He's not Eli Manning.
He's not.
Okay. Haskins, he's big. He has a massive arm.
He's a winner.
He's accurate. He's a winner. He's gone through quarterback competition at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And honestly, you lose the aspect of a running quarterback. Obviously, Haskins is massive. He's not going to move that well. Yeah. He's moved a bit in college. But Eli can't move, and they've won games with Eli, and this is a guy who's in the prime of, and not even in the prime of his career yet, but he has a similar body type.
I think him and Saquon would work wonders together.
They would, because I think when you have a guy like Saquon who can take off the pressure of throwing the ball, and you open up play action, this is a guy who's, if there's anything about Haskins, it's his IQ.
Yeah.
He is incredibly smart. Yeah. He knows when to make the reads.
He was coached by Urban Meyer. And, I think when you look at it, sure, he pads the stats with crossing routes, but, that was the best route available. He threw it right, and there's open space. That's just play calling right there. Mm-hmm. So making the right reads, and he's able to stand up there. I think he's ready to start day one if you want him to, and I think that's what you want, and he'll put up competition. And, if you need him to start, he'll start, and I think he's start ready. And having a veteran like Eli Manning who – many of you all say, well, he's not that good. Well, I mean, he's Eli Manning. He's a he's been a winner in the past, and he's still a veteran. He can teach him a lot of stuff that he'll need. So I think Dwayne Haskins is a good pick here for the Giants, and they should take our advice. I think we could be very good GMs. Who we got next?
The Jags. This is an easy one. Jawan Taylor.
Jawan Taylor.
Yeah.
He from Florida.
Yes. Tackle.
He's an SEC guy, and for me, I just think that he's at home. If the Giants select Jawan Taylor, I would be shocked.